Why are so many seniors quietly slipping away before they even reach 70? Is it simply age catching up? The slow fade of the body, the natural course of time? Or is there something more? Something we don't talk about, something we overlook. Look around. Walk into any quiet neighborhood on a weekday afternoon. Listen. There's a silence that hangs in the air, not peaceful but hollow. The kind that feels like absence. An echo of lives that once were full of sound, laughter, footsteps, the rustle of purpose. Now it's just the hum of a distant lawnmower and the occasional bird. That silence, that stillness, it says more than words ever could. Every day, people are retiring, leaving jobs they dedicated 40 years to. Every day, someone walks out of a courtroom with divorce papers in hand after decades of trying to make it work. Every day, someone buries the love of their life, the partner they built a lifetime with. And then, they come home to an empty house, stare at an empty chair, eat dinner in silence, and wonder, what now? They don't talk about that part. We talk about pensions, about savings, about bucket lists and cruises and grandkids. But we don't talk about the ache, the sudden lack of direction, the quiet unraveling that happens not in a dramatic moment, but slowly, gently, almost politely. So subtle you don't even notice until you're lost in it. This isn't just about numbers or data. This is about lives, about stories left untold, about the men and women who built families, communities, and careers, only to find themselves now alone, wondering if this chapter, the one they were told would be golden, is actually just gray. There's a deep truth we're going to face together in this video. It's uncomfortable, it's raw, but it's real. Many seniors aren't dying of disease. They're dying of something else, something hidden, quiet, but no less deadly. And maybe, just maybe, it's something we can change. So stay. Listen, not just with your ears, but with your heart. Because what you hear in the next 2 hours might save your life. Or the life of someone you love. This is not a video about fear. It's about truth. And more than anything, it's about hope. You're not done. Not even close. Let's begin. Hidden reason number 1, isolation. Let me ask you something. Have you ever sat in a room that used to be filled with people, laughter, conversation, clinking plates, footsteps, and suddenly realized it's just quiet? Not peaceful quiet, not the kind that calms you after a long day, but the kind of quiet that presses in around you. A stillness that feels like you've been forgotten? There's a woman I met once, her name was Margaret. She lost her husband just after her 51st birthday. He'd been her world for over 3 decades. They traveled together, laughed together, even argued with a rhythm only soulmates understand. And when he passed, her life didn't just lose a person. It lost its shape. Her phone stopped ringing. The invitations slowed. People didn't know what to say, so they said nothing at all. Slowly and without even realizing it, her world got smaller. She told me one day, I didn't know I could be surrounded by people in a grocery store and still feel like I was the only one alive. That feeling loneliness isn't just hard. It's dangerous. You know what they've found? That being chronically lonely can be just as damaging to your health as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. 15. Can you imagine? And yet, nobody warns you about that on a billboard. There's no commercial that says, call your friend, your life depends on it. But maybe there should be. Because isolation creeps in silently. It doesn't show up in dramatic breakdowns. It shows up in skipped appointments, in unanswered texts, in going days without using your voice to speak to someone else. And the body responds. Our brains were built for connection. Our hearts too. When we stop feeding that connection, something inside begins to shrink. But here's the part one want you to hold on to, really hold on to. You are not meant to go through this chapter alone. You're not meant to shrink, to disappear, to fade quietly into the background. Connection isn't a luxury at this age. It's a lifeline. And if you're listening to this thinking, but I don't know where to start, let me offer something. Start small. Is there a community center nearby? A place of worship? A walking group? A book club at the library? Volunteering? Maybe there's a neighbor you haven't spoken to in years. Write a letter. Say hello. offer someone a cup of tea. Go out just to smile at someone. It doesn't have to be perfect. It just has to be honest. And if none of that feels possible right now, comment here. Tell us your story. Say, I'm here. I'm listening. Because this space we're building is for you. For people who have felt the ache of silence and are ready to break it. Tell me, when was the last time you really felt seen? And if it's been a while, let's change that. Starting now. Hidden reason number 2, lack of purpose. After the retirement party ends, the balloons deflate and the cake is long gone. What happens next? There's a man I met, Harold. He worked in public service for 43 years. Woke up every morning at 5:30, put on the same blue shirt, grabbed his thermos, and left with purpose. Rain or shine. He was the guy people came to when things broke down. When they needed something fixed, something done right. And then one day, just like that, he was done. They gave him a gold watch. A round of applause. And the next morning? No alarm clock. No routine. No one waiting on him. He sat at his kitchen table and stared at the wall, wondering, who am I now? It's something no one prepares us for. We spend our lives building identities around careers, raising families, being needed. And when that need changes or disappears altogether, we're left in a strange sort of limbo. Feels like someone hit pause on your story and forgot to press play again. But the truth is that pause, that's not the end. It's a blank page. You see, the Journal of Psychological Science found something incredible. People who have a clear sense of purpose, no matter their age, actually live longer. Not just by a few months. Purpose is as critical as exercise or sleep. It's fuel for the soul. And when that fuel runs low, the spark starts to fade. But here's what nobody tells you. Purpose doesn't have to be loud or grand. It doesn't mean starting a new company or traveling the world. Unless that's what calls to you. Could be painting again. It could be tending a garden, watching something grow under your care. It could be showing up for someone younger, becoming the mentor you wish you had. Or simply being the steady voice in someone else's storm. I once met an 81-year-old woman who wakes up every morning just to read to children at the local library. She says it gives her more joy than any paycheck she ever earned. Another man, 75, started painting for the first time in his life. He never sold a piece, but his eyes lit up when he talked about mixing colors, the smell of paint, the feel of a brush in his hand. It's not about accolades. It's about meaning. So, let me ask you this, and don't rush past the question. What would you do if age wasn't a limit? If nobody laughed, and nothing held you back? What would your heart whisper to you? Because you're not done. You're just rediscovering your why. Maybe even for the first time. Write it down. Speak it aloud. Or, if you're brave, share it here in the comments. What gives you purpose today? What could give you purpose tomorrow? Someone might read your words and feel a little less lost. You might be that spark for someone else. Remember, your story isn't over. In fact, the most meaningful chapters might still be unwritten. Hidden reason number 3, sedentary life. You ever notice how hard it gets to just stand up sometimes? Not after running a marathon, not even after doing anything big. Just standing up from a chair. There's this quiet groan, a hand reaching for the armrest, a second to catch your balance. And then we laugh it off, just old age. But is it really? There's a clip I saw once of an elderly woman pushing herself off a chair. Slow, deliberate. You could see the strain in her eyes, the effort in her shoulders. And yet, just 5 years earlier, she was dancing at her granddaughter's wedding. What happened in those 5 years? We stopped moving. That's what happens. And when we stop moving, our bodies start forgetting how to live. Here's a fact they don't put in greeting cards or over-the-hill jokes. After the age of 30, we lose 3 to 8% of our muscle mass every decade if we don't stay active. That means by the time you're 70, you might be carrying around half the strength you used to have. Not because you're broken, not because you're too old, but because nobody told you to keep going. Now, I want you to meet Clarence. Clarence was 70 when his doctor gave him a wake-up call. High blood pressure, borderline diabetic, borderline hopeless. He didn't join a gym, didn't buy fancy equipment. He just started walking. 10 minutes around the block, then 20, then 30. Over the months, the numbers started shifting. Blood pressure dropped. Sleep improved. He started smiling again. That quiet smile of someone who's taking their life back. One step at a time. You don't need to run a 5K. You don't even need to leave your house today. But you do need to move. Let's do something small together right now. Just where you are, lift your arms slowly above your head. Stretch them wide. Roll your shoulders back gently. Wiggle your toes. Straighten your spine. Breathe deeply. Feel that? That's life. Still in you. Still strong. The moment you stop moving is the moment your life stops growing. But you can start again. Today. Right now. What's one movement you can add to your day? Maybe it's dancing while brushing your teeth. Maybe it's a stroll to the end of the street. Maybe it's 5 chair squats during your favorite song. Doesn't matter how small, what matters is that you do it. So, let me ask, have you moved today? Tell me in the comments, what's your favorite way to stay active? Let's share ideas and maybe, just maybe, inspire someone else to take that first step too. Hidden reason number 4, stress and regret. Have you ever sat in a quiet room, pulled out an old photo, and felt time bend? 1 second, you're there in the past. The next, your heart aches in a way that words don't quite explain. Maybe it's a missed apology. Maybe it's the look someone gave you that still lingers. Maybe it's the thing you never said or the thing you can't unsay. We carry it, don't we? Quietly, year after year. Regret, guilt, bitterness, anger that's turned into habit. And we say, that's just life. And we keep walking. But our bodies, they don't forget. I knew a man, let's call him Raymond. He was in his early 60s when I met him and he looked tired. Not just from age, but from something deeper. For 30 years, he carried anger toward his brother. They had a falling out over a family inheritance. Words were said, and silence took over. 3 decades of not speaking. And the longer the silence stretched, the heavier it got. Raymond developed heart disease. His doctor told him stress was a major contributor. His body was under siege, not from outside threats, but from emotions that had festered inside. Bitterness literally eroding his health. When he finally wrote his brother a letter years later, not expecting a reply, just needing release, he cried for 2 hours straight. Said it felt like unloading a backpack he forgot he was wearing. Here's what science tells us: chronic stress elevates cortisol, that hormone we need in small doses. It becomes a slow-burning fire in our system when it never shuts off. It weakens immunity. It affects memory. It wears down our heart. We think we're just being strong by holding it in, but the body always keeps the score. So right now, just take a breath with me. Seriously. Stop and do it. Inhale through your nose. Hold. Exhale slowly through your mouth. Again. And again. Feel your shoulders. Are they tense? Let them soften. Feel your chest. Let it open. This isn't just breathing. This is reclaiming space inside yourself. Sometimes peace isn't found in doing more, it's in letting go. Forgiveness doesn't mean saying what happened was okay. It means saying you're okay to move forward anyway. You deserve to live without the past constantly clinging to your heels. Try journaling. Every night for 5 minutes, write what you're still holding on to. Light a candle, read it aloud, and let it burn away in the flame. Not because the pain didn't matter, but because you matter more. If you need help, seek therapy. Join a support group. Confide in a friend. Healing doesn't always look like a breakthrough. Sometimes it's quiet, gentle, a whisper instead of a scream. Here's something to carry with you. What you don't release becomes the weight you carry. You're allowed to be lighter. So I want to ask you something. Not to pressure you, but to start the shift. What's one thing you're working to release right now? Leave it in the comments. You might be surprised who reads it and says, "Me too." Hidden reason number 5, medical neglect. She thought it was heartburn. That slow burn rising in her chest after dinner. She took an antacid, laid down for a bit, and told herself, "I'm fine." The next morning, she woke up in a hospital bed. She had suffered a heart attack. And here's the part that hits hardest: she almost didn't go in at all. Not because she didn't care, but because she thought, I don't want to make a fuss. Sound familiar? Too many of us were raised with that quiet toughness. Push through the pain. Don't complain. Don't bother anyone unless it's serious. But how do you know it's serious until it is? 1/3 of seniors in the US skip annual checkups. Not because they don't have time. Not even because they forget. It's fear. It's cost. It's the overwhelming feeling of, what if they find something? So instead we wait and hope and tell ourselves it's just part of getting older. But your health isn't a time bomb waiting to go off. It's a living, breathing relationship. One that needs attention, love, and care. You don't have to be sick to get better. You just have to care enough to check in. Let's talk about the quiet power of preventive care. That annual wellness visit is not just a box to check. It's the space where early signs are caught. Blood pressure creeping up, a vitamin deficiency, a conversation about memory changes or that nagging pain you've been ignoring. It's not about paranoia. It's about peace of mind. Your body's been walking with you for decades. Through heartbreak, through joy, through birth, loss, dancing, working, healing. Why wouldn't you want to listen to it now? Here's a simple checklist. Not to overwhelm you, but to empower you. Annual physical exam, blood pressure and cholesterol screening, blood sugar test, colon cancer screening, mammogram or prostate check depending on your needs, bone density test, vision and hearing exams, mental health check-in. Yes, that matters too. Schedule just one thing this week. Call your doctor. Ask for a wellness visit. If cost is an issue, look into local clinics, senior centers, or Medicare options that offer free screenings. And if you're afraid of what they'll say, let me remind you, knowing is power. Knowing lets you do something. You've survived so much already. You've done the hard things. This is self-respect. So let me ask you gently and honestly, when was your last wellness check? Don't answer it just for me. Answer it for you. Answer it for the people who still want you here. And if it's been too long, make that call. Let's normalize self-care at every age. Let's make it brave. Let's make it loving. Drop a comment below, when's the last time you checked in on you? Maybe your answer will be the nudge someone else needs to pick up the phone and do the same. There's a woman in Arizona who graduated college at 67. Her name's Lillian. She sat in the front row of every class, took notes by hand, and never missed a single lecture. The day she walked across the stage, her grandchildren were in the audience holding a sign that read, "Go Grandma, go." She said it wasn't about getting a job, it was about finishing a sentence she started 40 years earlier. Then there's Joe from Michigan, a retired mechanic. He picked up a paintbrush at 70 after stumbling into a free art class at the local community center. He'd never held one before, not seriously, but something in him just clicked. Now, every Tuesday, he paints landscapes from memory. Fields he played in as a boy, the rusted barns he used to fix tractors beside. He says it helps him remember who he was, and who he still is. And let me tell you about Eileen, 81 years old, widowed for almost 2 decades. She thought love was something she'd packed away with her wedding ring. But then she met Walter at a gardening club. They started slow, talking about tomato varieties, sharing coffee after meetings. One spring morning, he brought her a single daffodil and said, "You make me feel 17 again." They've been inseparable ever since. These stories aren't rare. They're just rarely told. There are late bloomers all around us, quietly defying the idea that life slows down after a certain number. They're learning new things, creating beauty, falling in love, starting businesses, teaching others. They're not outliers, they're reminders. Reminders that life doesn't come with a clock, that you don't age out of growth, that it's never too late to change your story's ending. So if you're watching this and wondering if you've missed your chance, hear this, you haven't. You're right on time. You're not a has-been. You're a becoming. And maybe the world hasn't heard your story yet, but that doesn't mean it's not worth telling. If you have a late bloomer story, yours, your parents, your neighbors, share it in the comments. Let's fill this space with proof that second acts are not only possible, they're powerful. If this video spoke to your heart, if even one moment felt like it saw you, then like it. Not for the numbers, not for the algorithm, but because that one little tap says this matters. If you saw yourself in these stories, if a piece of your past, your pain, your hope showed up here, leave a comment. Your voice might be the one someone else needs to hear tonight. And if you're standing at the edge of something new, whether you're 58 or 88 and you're ready to bloom in your season, subscribe. Not to follow, but to walk with. This channel is for the quiet warriors, the hopeful hearts, the ones rewriting the ending with every breath. You're not behind. You're not done. You're becoming. Stay a while. Let's grow together.